Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning to you. We got a very special show for you. We're starting early today, and there's a great reason for that. We got a huge show for you. New renderings are out for a possible Ybor City on the water stadium for the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa. We got some new information to give you on that, and a whole lot of exciting stuff to talk about there. Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 10 o'clock to talk some Buccaneers and where they go from here. Cincinnati's coming to town, and what will life look like after Tom Brady? Brian Bradley will join us to talk some Lightning. Another big win for them last night, 6-2 over a very good Seattle team. But the reason we're up early and it's such a special day is because the great crime dog, Fred McGriff, is joining us this morning live, newly minted Hall of Famer. It's about freaking time, my friend. What's up, Fred? How are you?
Morning. Pretty good. But, JP, we got to start off the show with a little, hallelujah, praise the Lord, because JP, under the dictionary of persistence, is JP Peterson. Because hey, you've been working hard, my friend. Because I've been traveling all over the place, California, back here, and so forth. So it's been crazy, and I'm getting a call from JP. JP's like, "Where you at? What do you think, Fred?" Like, JP, I love you, man, but this ain't gonna quite work. Oh, what about this time? No, that's getting into my golf schedule. So
exactly,
it's a beautiful morning.
Hey, man, I will do anything to get you live on my show, brother. I'll get up at 6 o'clock. I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get you on my show, brother. Yes.
Hey,
absolutely.
But I know you got something in store for me because you and Kevin Keever have been working very hard.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I know you got something up your sleeve.
Well, we don't know if we're going to have a mystery caller this morning because your good friend John Smoltz is out on the West Coast in Mexico too. So Lord knows what he's getting into over there. So
okay.
He did well. We're working on this one. We may have a caller. Send that guy. We're producing on the air. Send that guy right there our number to call in if we can get that done. So we're gonna try to get Smolty on. He's so happy that you're in the Hall of Fame. And frankly, Fred, so many people here in Tampa that have been there the entire way for you. And it was so fun this morning reacquainting myself with your career, doing my research, and it's just amazing where you came from here in Tampa. When growing up, going to Al Lopez Field, watching the Rays, working at Tampa Stadium. I mean, Jefferson High School. You're as homegrown as it gets. And
you going way back to my
hell yeah.
selling Cokes at Tampa Stadium.
Yeah, and I understand. I didn't realize this, but you were cut from your baseball team in your sophomore year because you were too small. I mean, boy, you've come a long way, my friend. Boy, you've come a long way. What are your
See, when I tried out for Jefferson,
yeah.
They had a senior first baseman named Izzy Segura, and so and I knew Izzy from West Tampa Little League and everything, and so. I'm like, for me to make this team, I'm going to have to try out another position. So I tried out for the outfield. I had never played the outfield before. Tried out for center field and so forth. But yeah, I didn't make the team, so I just went back to West Tampa Little League and kept playing ball, and then tried out the next year. And so to this day, they give Pop Quest to the head coach at Jefferson. They give him a tough time.
Yeah, of course they should. I mean, what are you doing? You're cutting Fred McGriff. What are you, bananas? But at what point did you realize, hey, I can play this game? There's a famous story of Dwight Gooden, you hitting a long home run off of him in an All-Star game or one of your games, and all the scouts were there to look at Dwight Gooden, and you took him deep in yard. Was that the moment that you kind of realized, hey, maybe I can do this as well?
Well, at the time, because Dwight Gooden, he was it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've grown up here in Tampa, you know that Dwight Gooden and Vance Lovelace, they played at Belmont Little League and they played at Hillsborough High School, but they they threw gas and they were awesome and everything. And so, like you say, all the scouts were coming for Dwight. But the thing about it, once I got drafted by the Yankees and Dwight got drafted by the Mets, and so Dwight's striking out 300 guys in the minor leagues and A-ball and everything. And I'm telling myself, like, man, I played against this guy in high school, and he's it. So I got a chance,
right?
Yeah, and so,
absolutely.
But yeah. Oh, and to this day, I tell people, man, Dwight Gooden was stinking awesome. This guy, he had a great breaking ball, as you know, and he was tough, man. He was outstanding.
Well, how much do you think playing against that type of competition growing up made you a better player? Because you just mentioned a lot of those names, and we could mention Gary Sheffield and Tino Martinez and all the guys that have come out of here, and maybe you didn't play against them in Little League, but there was just a level of play at that particular time that lifted everybody, right?
Oh, no doubt. The Little League programs here in Tampa over the years, they were great, man. Like I said, Belmont Heights, beat up on everybody, but you had West Tampa Little League and a few other little leagues around town just had great talent. And, it's tough to believe that it's probably been at least 40 or 50 major league players from this area just right here in Tampa. It's crazy when you think about even the Dave Magadins, Jason Romano's, a lot of guys from this area that made it up to the big leagues.
Incredible amount of talent. So, most people know you from your time with the Atlanta Braves and winning a championship there, and as being one of the most consistent hitters. There's so many numbers I can rattle off here. You're the only player to hit 30 home runs with 5 different teams, which is amazing. You were the first player after the dead ball era to lead both leagues in home runs. 89, you led the American League. 92, you led the National League. 5-time All-Star. Just the consistency of which you played. What was the key to that? To just being so consistent year in and year out?
Well, as a player, you're always striving for consistency. Every major league player, they're trying to be more consistent than all the other guys and so forth. And it's very tough. People, I laugh sometimes because you go to these baseball games now, and these people, they sit in the stands and they boo these players for striking out and doing this and that. I'm like, people, if y'all only understood that, you got less than 1 second to decide if you're going to swing or not. This guy's throwing 90-something miles an hour, and that little ball hurts, and you booing players, right? And then you go out to these golf matches, and everybody like,
yeah, right.
Quiet. This guy got a hit.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious. But I just tried to be consistent. And back in the day, I used to beat up on all the guys, more home than McGuire and Bonds and so forth. And then, it's a challenge. It's you against this pitcher, and nobody can help you. Your teammates can't help you too much. It's you against this pitcher. So it's always that challenge. But I have some good people. I go back with Dave Magadin. Back in the day, it was just me and Magadin hitting at Jefferson High School, and he taught me a lot because Mags had went to University of Alabama, and he broke all kind of records at Alabama and so forth. And so, I'm learning from him. And it's so funny because if you know Mags, you got to throw the ball right down the middle of the plate for Magadin to swing. Right? Mm-hmm. So here I am trying to throw him batting practice, and he's throwing me great BP all over the place, right? And I got to lay it in there perfect for him to swing. So it was hard, man. But that was Mags, and so we hit at Jefferson. So I just kept improving and getting better. And I always tell people, with me, it was always, you got to make contact, try to make contact, put it in place somewhere. Because, I had power. It's just a matter of getting more consistent. And so, and I set goals for myself. Because I tell people, people come along and like, oh, Fred, you played for the Rays and so forth. They had to be tough. And I'm like, man, I set goals for myself. So before you start every game, you got a chance to win. I don't care who it is. When that first inning starts, you got a chance. If you play for the Rays, who you name it, okay? Yeah. Now, in the course of a game, things may happen and you get beat, which we usually did. Right. But when that game starts, you got to win. You can win. And so you set goals, 5 good swings a month. I'm going to get 30 homers because 30 homers, that was the number back in the day.
Right.
If you hit 30 homers, you had a good year.
Yeah. And it was rare to this day. It's rare anybody that plays for the Rays even hits 32 home runs, which is what you did in 1999. and hit 310 as well. Hitting three. If we had a Rays hitter right now, especially a first baseman that could play like you, in fact, I think we could have put you in the lineup a couple times last year, bro. I'm not lying. 32 home runs,
JP,
310.
The game has changed so much,
Oh.
JP. I laugh. Just all sports, like analytics have just taken over. They've taken over baseball now and into football. I laugh so much. I'm watching these football games on Sunday, right? And you got a team that's on a 50-yard line, and they may be up 3 points or down 3 points, and just punt the ball and trust your defense to go play some defense. Now all these teams, they go for it on fourth down, and they don't make it. I'm like, coaches, all you're doing, you are using these analytics going to get you fired. Okay, you keep using these analytics and going for it when you just punt the stinking ball and play some ball. Like, no, the numbers say that we have to go for it right now.
That's
and
right.
So, okay, you'll get fired like the Arizona coach. He's going to get fired.
Yeah.
He's messing around.
Well,
going for it all the time. It's
well,
hilarious.
Listen, and analytics are such a part of baseball right now, and I don't was the shift a big part when you were playing? I don't think it was. Do you? And now they're getting rid of it, which is good.
JP, going way back to like Ted Williams, they were putting a shift on Ted Williams way back in the 56ers, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you didn't see it too much. And when I was coming up, the shortstop would play more behind the second base, and so forth. And then when Joe Madden came along, and they really started shifting. And I laugh all the time, but it's crazy. And like now they're going to do away with the shift. Like, to me, it's like, if teams want to put the whole team on the right side of the field, let them do it.
Yeah.
That means it's a lot of hits over there. Now they're trying to dictate when can you shift, and the guy has to stay right here, and he can't go over there.
That's going to be bizarre.
It's crazy, JP.
Hey,
Now they got a pitch clock.
Yeah. So do you like that stuff or no? You like the new rules?
No.
You're a traditionalist.
No. Because well, just in the sense where at the end of the day, everybody knows the real problem is the commercials, okay? But the commercials are what make money.
That's right.
They're making huge money, right? So they're not gonna mess with the commercials. So they're like, okay, what can we do? How can we speed it up? And to me, it's like the ultimate goal. You're trying to win a World Series, okay? So now you're telling me my pitcher has 18 seconds or 20 seconds to make a pitch. I might have bases loaded and 2 outs or whatever. I need this pitcher to take his time and make a good pitch than worrying about hey, I got 20 seconds. Let me just get on the mound and throw this pitch.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, man, let this guy take his stinking time and make a good pitch and win this ball game. What kills me is when the pitcher, bases loaded, right? The pitcher stands behind the rubber and he looks at his wristband to see what pitch he needs to throw. It's like, dude, you got a base loaded. You better throw whatever you got. Throw your best stuff. Don't be looking at some wristband.
Now they got microphones in their ear. The catcher's got a microphone. They're talking to them in their ear. Yeah,
because JP, like we're talking about Smoltz, playing with Smoltz and Maddox, right? Okay, Smoltz threw a whole lot harder than Maddox. Smoltz throwing 95, 96, and Maddox 91, 92, whatever. So Smoltz can pitch inside on a hitter more than Maddox because he threw harder. And so you can't everybody can't pitch the same because they have different velocity. Their breaking balls are different. Their changeups are different. So to try to make everybody pitch the same, it's like, for instance, myself and say Wade Boggs, okay? We were different hitters. All right. Me, I'm trying to hit the ball out the ballpark. Wade is trying to, hit it to the left, hit it to the right. We played a different ball game, right? So every night we had a different game plan. My game plan that I use to hit is not the same that Wade is going to use to hit.
Right.
Because we're different. Right. But every day you turn on TV like, okay, the coaches have gotten together and we've had a meeting, and this is how we're going to go about hitting this pitcher. Like, guys, are we serious? Come on, everybody's different. So that's my rant for today.
I love it. So listen, you mentioned McGuire and Bonds, and I love this statistic that I read. During the latter period from 88 to 97, first of all, you led Major League Baseball in total home runs from 89 to 94, and third most home runs in the decade from 88 to 97. Only Bonds and McGuire ahead of you. And during the latter period, you were 8th in the majors in WAR. I know you don't love analytics, but the WAR, win above replacement, that's the one that says how great you are and everything as a baseball player. You were behind 6 Hall of Famers and Barry Bonds. I mean, you were one of the most dominant players of your era when you start looking at numbers like this. So those analytics make you look really, really good, Fred. So don't hate them too much. Don't hate them too much, all right?
Well, you know, CJP, see, really the way it works is like if you've never played the game before, you need the analytics to justify
what everybody else already knows. The players already know, right? Yes.
Yeah. So now you got the guys from Harvard and Yale and MIT. Now they're into baseball, right? So
right.
Now we got to like, okay, I got this job as general manager. Okay, so now I need to justify my move. So I got to have a clue what's going on. So I need these numbers to help me understand what's going on. But JP, I mean, it's some players that are getting paid huge money because they take walks and get on base.
Yep.
And they play some defense. And it's like, serious? You just gave this guy $200 million because he takes all kind of pitches and he get walks. You know, like, so when we were coming up, we were taught you hit to get on base.
Yes.
You know, now it's like, why don't you try to walk to get on base?
No.
And it's like,
hard to drive in runs that way. Yeah, hard to drive in runs that way. Now, I've never asked you this question, so if you want to punt on it, that's fine. But I mentioned McGuire and Bonds, and I've always been of the for the past 12 years where you've been up for the Hall of Fame. I've always said, listen, voters, if you're going to keep Barry Bonds and McGuire out for whatever your reasons are, how do you not look at Fred McGriff that clearly did it the right way? Didn't mess with steroids and not put him in. Now, finally, the smart people in the contemporary baseball era players committee that voted you in, put you in. But was it frustrating through those years having people not recognizing the numbers that we just talked about, that you were among the best of your era? How frustrating was that? And how do you feel about Bonds and McGuire?
Well, it was tough, but the thing about it, like they said, ain't no crying in baseball. You keep going. Hey JP, I got 4 screws in my neck and I got 4 screws in my back.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I got a whole lot of other issues, dude.
Right. I got you.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've been totally blessed, and we just keep going. But now, in July, I'm going to be on stage, at the ceremony. Yeah. And hopefully, and what happens if nobody gets voted in, like in January, with the other guys? So then it'll be all me on July 23rd.
And I'm looking forward to that, to be honest with you. I was blessed enough to be able to cover Wade when he went up to Cooperstown and got inducted. I think they do it a little differently now. We were out on an outside baseball field, I think at a local high school, and they had this big setup, and just watching Wade go in. I think he was with Peter Gammons and Ryan Sandberg. But so I hope there's some other guys joining you as well. But what do you think that's going to feel like, being in Cooperstown? Have you been there, by the way? Have you been to the Hall of Fame?
No, never been.
Wow. So this will be your first trip. What do you think that's going to feel like?
Well, I'm sure my heart would be beating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be, it's like most guys I've spoken to, and they're like, Fred, it's your day. It's gonna be your day, and you enjoy it, and just take it all in, enjoy the moment. And so hopefully that's how it is. They tell me I got 10 minutes. I got 10 minutes on my speech. so
who do you want to thank? Who do you want?
I gotta start thinking a whole lot of people, and 10 minutes is short. So I gotta really work on it.
But you could talk about some of those folks that you remember from growing up here. This is what this interview is all about. I know you've done 1,000 national interviews, but this is about the local guys that have coached you and played. You mentioned Mags Magadan was a big influence. You mentioned Pop Cuesta, who's just an amazing influence on so many. Anybody else you want to thank that helped you?
Well, just Wade. I mean, Wade helped me out big time. When I was in the minors, I ran into Wade getting something to eat and so forth, and we we had a nice little powwow for a couple hours, and he was just telling me like, Fred, just look for that fastball and just stay on that fastball, man. Just look for it. And so I said, okay, I tried, because I was the type who I tried to look for breaking balls and different curveballs and so forth. But the thing about it is, when you look for those breaking balls and you guess right, then you swing at it, no matter where it's at. So if it's high, you swing at it. If it's dirt, you swing at it, and so forth. And I was in the minor leagues at that time when I talked to Wade. So after that, I started looking for a fastball every single pitch. So when I played up in the big leagues, every single stick and pitch, I looked for a fastball. And also, I had to learn how to protect myself, because you're hitting home runs and everything, and so you got the knucklehead pitcher who you hit a home run off of him, and then he wants to throw one high up and in and at your head and stuff like that. And so you had to protect yourself, because if I'm looking for something coming 95 miles an hour and he throws it at me, I can get out of the way. But if I look something coming 70 or 80 miles an hour and he throws it at me, I can't react. And next thing you know, I'm in the hospital somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I just started looking for a fastball. So Wade, he helped me out big time when we chit-chatted and everything.
That's a pretty cool story right there. And boy, did you hit the fastball. So tell me about the time with the Braves and that team. I mean, you mentioned Maddox and Smoltz and Glavine, and we could go up and down the list of the great players on those teams. What was it like playing in Atlanta? What you guys went? I know you weren't on all these teams, but 14 consecutive division titles, and then the World Series. What was that whole experience like?
It was great, because when I got traded to the Braves in the middle of the year, we were 10 games out of first place when I joined that team, and we ended up catching the Giants at the end of the year. We won 104 games, and they won 103, and it was crazy. And they had a great team with Will Clark and Bonds and Kevin Mitchell. They were stacked. But our team, the Braves, we were great with David Justice and Ron Gann and Lemke and guys. And every night we had a chance to win, every night, because we had a stud pitcher, even Steve Avery or Denny Nagel, just solid pitching staff, and Bobby Cox, he was the manager, and he kept everybody in line. Bobby was awesome. He didn't get a lot of credit for managing, but he did a great job. And finally, in '95, we were able to get over the hump. The Braves had lost. I think they lost 91, 92. They got beat because another 93, we lost to the Phillies in the playoffs. 94, we had a strike. And then 95, we won. And so that was the ultimate, because the team had always come up short. And so the pressure starts mounting, similar to like the Buffalo Bills back in the day. The Braves kept coming up short. So to finally win it, it's the ultimate, because every player, their goal is to win a World Series or win a Super Bowl, and that's it. And so when you finally come together, it's the ultimate, because baseball is a team game, and it's an individual game. And individually, if everybody does their job, it makes a great team. And so finally in '95, we're able to beat the Cleveland Indians and win it. But what kills me, JP, is in '96 we had a great team also, and we lost to the Yankees. And so myself being from Tampa, and now with the Yankees having spring training here, I have to pass by that Yankee complex all the time, and you see NY everywhere you go. And so that's what eats me up all the time. I have to everywhere, and then the people here in Tampa, they love the Yankees.
Right, of course,
so And so every time you look around, I got to see that stinking NY. And we won the first two games up in New York, and we went back to Atlanta, and Mark Rollers gave it through a slider to Larich, and it changed the whole series.
Yep, that's right.
Changed the whole series after that. But that's the one that really gets me.
I ran into Tino the other day, and I bet he probably reminds you of that every now and then when you see him. I bet he does.
Okay.
Hey, well, all right. So go back to the '95 World Series when you won, and where was your vantage point when you watched Sid Bream turn around, the slowest dude in Major League Baseball, coming around third base to score that run? Like, what was your vantage point, and how long did it take in your mind for him to get to the plate?
Well, now a little bit like Sid was 92 or
Was that
whatever.
92?
So yeah. So like, but but JP. Now imagine this. So like everybody in Atlanta loves Sid Bream.
Yeah.
After sliding into home and everything, right? So I get traded to the Braves,
Yeah.
and Sherholtz didn't trade Sid Bream. So Sid Bream is still on the team. Wow. And I get traded over to the team, right? And so it made it tough because, like, I'm playing first base now. I get traded and I'm playing first. And Sid would pinch hit every once in a while, right? And so Sid would pinch hit and he'd get a standing ovation. So you ever in the dugout? You're in the dugout like, okay, I ain't asked to be traded over here, y'all.
Are you saying that Sid didn't like you, or are you saying that was a problem?
No, it was just it was just a tough situation because usually the team would trade the current first baseman or whatever, but people love Sid.
Yes,
Sid was Sid was it. So
well, that must have been some awkward moments there. But that team and that pitching staff, I mean, that was what was it like playing behind those guys and Maddox and watching him pitch and carve people up? It was almost comical at times how far ahead he was of everybody from a mental standpoint. Like, I know we have all these computer printouts of what guys' tendencies are now, and the pitchers know this. It seems to me like Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine, those guys knew that stuff instinctively in their heads, right?
Yeah, and they threw strikes, and they had a great strike zone. And I had faced those guys before I got traded to the Braves. So I had faced Glavine and Maddox and Smoltzy, and I got them all in the books. So that's why when they see me, they say, "How you doing, Mr. McGriff?" No, but their control was just great. They threw a whole lot of strikes, and so Maddox would finish a game throwing 80 pitches, 90 pitches, and stuff like that. But they just consistently threw strikes, got ahead of the hitters. The game is a lot easier when you get ahead of the hitters and everything. If you're falling behind hitters all the time, they're gonna big league hitters gonna make life tough for you. And I laugh because those guys, they were buds and they play golf all the time together, right? Yeah. And I tell people, when you're winning, you can play golf. Okay, so we're winning ball games. Those guys are playing golf. They got a little putt, a little machine inside the clubhouse, and it's all good. And so when you're winning, you can play. And everybody says, the reporter's like, "Oh yeah, it's so great. Those guys, they pitch, they play golf together. They're so competitive. You got to love it, right?" And so if you're playing on a losing team and guys try to play golf, they say, "Oh man, these guys could care less about baseball. All they want to do is play golf. All they don't care about no baseball." So
right.
It's hilarious. Winning lets you get through a whole lot of stuff.
Yes, it does.
It does. Like you take the Bucs, right? The Bucs are losing now. So now everybody's pointing fingers. This guy, that guy. That same team was together for the last couple of years, and they're like, "Oh, it's so great.
Fantastic.
This guy, he's awesome. This coach is great."
Now they're all bums.
And they're like, this coach stinks. This coach is bad.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
That's me. That's me. That's my show.
That's you.
Well, listen, they're a different team, right? There's different personnel and there are different coaches. People are in different roles, and some people are great defensive coordinators, and maybe not great head coaches.
JP, see the thing about it, right? Always up because baseball has no salary cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in baseball, you have,
that's right,
for the most part, a different winner every year. Different teams are winning the World Series, okay? Football has a cap. And so that cap, the Bucs defense, they started losing this guy. They can't keep this guy, and this offensive player, they can't. And before you know it, that great defense all of a sudden became an average defense.
That's right.
And they lost guys on offensive line that has caused a lot of issues.
Yep, absolutely.
And and I laugh sometimes, right? But Brady took off and went to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
like, come on, dude. Hey, I definitely. Could you imagine if Maddox or Glavine said, like, "Okay, guys, I'm going to the Bahamas for a couple of weeks." You're like, Come on, dude, time out.
That's right. Even the goat, right? Your teammates will be like, "Come on, man. If I got to be here, you got to be here. It's training camp, right?" Hey, it's interesting. You mentioned salary cap. So we'll talk some Tampa Bay Rays because I'm very frustrated the way this team is run, especially from a ownership standpoint. And I'll say this for you. This is my opinion. I think the way they disrespect their former players and don't bring you guys back time and time again. There's no old timers game. They don't bring you guys back to. I know you were a consultant for a little while, but I think they ignore their past, especially guys like yourself and Wade Boggs and others. This is me speaking. I don't like the way they're so cheap and they got money. They don't spend it. And people think they don't have any money. They got plenty of money. Stu's got plenty of money. And I think this, they should have this deal done in Tampa is where the stadium should be. We love the people of St. Petersburg, but they don't go to the games. It's surrounded by water over there. You played in that dome. It's awful. It's terrible for hitters. I can't imagine how the hell you hit 32 home runs in that place. So I'm not a big fan
JP,
of the way
real quick,
the team is run.
JP, I want you to do your homework right here, JP, right?
Okay.
Talk about the Rays pitchers, okay? And that dome is very dark. It is very dark.
Yes, it is.
Okay? And Rays pitchers dominate, okay? And when Rays pitchers leave Tampa, it's so funny. An average pitcher can come pitch for the Rays, and all of a sudden he becomes a great pitcher.
Yeah.
Because it's dark and they dominate. And when pitchers leave Tampa and they go back to pitching outdoors, better lighting and everything, those same dominant pitchers become average pitchers. I mean, if you just look over the years, all these pitchers that were dominant here in Tampa, and when they leave, we can say that the Blake Snells, the Moores, the Cobbs, Shields, Price to a certain extent. You can go down the list of guys once they left, but when guys come here and they get GMs fired, Glass now got the Pirates GM fired. All these other guys, they come here and they start pitching well.
That's right.
I laugh. The guy last year, I can't think, but he was a Braves pitcher. But anyway, he came over here and he started dominating the reliever. But it's amazing that it's dark. And what happens is that a lot of times the visiting teams, they come here and it takes them a while to get adjusted to the lights.
Yeah.
And so the Rays beat up on them. And before you know it, the 3 days are over, the series is over, and the Rays have beaten them 2 out of 3 the Rays players are used to, they get used to the lights. Your eyes get used to it. But for visiting teams, they just come in here and it's a struggle for them.
And look at Willie Adames, who couldn't hit a lick here and goes to Milwaukee. He's hitting 30 home runs. And so, and that's why, and that's your good friend of mine, Jason Romano, who's an agent now, tells me this is why, it's hard to get free agent hitters to come to Tampa Bay. Guys don't want to come play here and hit here and play on that carpet, right? They don't want to. If you're a free agent, you got options.
Tough. But I really believe that at the end of the day, the stadium would be better served in Tampa. I just think that it gives the people, the Lakeland, Orlando, Plant City, it gives those people a better opportunity to go to a game. Because asking people to come from those areas to drive over to St. Pete and the Trop, that's asking a whole lot. Because it's different. Like for football, the Bucs may play 3 games a month at the stadium every Sunday. Okay, so asking a person to drive 3 times from Fort Myers or wherever to Tampa to the Bucs Stadium. Okay. Yeah. But baseball, you may play 10 days in a row at home or 7 in a row or whatever. So asking people to make that drive is very tough. And I think if you get a stadium over in Tampa somewhere, I think you get a few more fans and so forth. And it'll make life a whole lot easier for a lot more people than they have right now.
Did you see the artist renderings that were out last night of the stadium they're proposing in downtown Tampa on the water? I was going to send them to you, and I did not.
No, I didn't see it.
It would be awesome. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And and I agree with you. And if they build a stadium in St. Petersburg, even if it's new for the first few years, people will go. But after a while, they won't. It's not what's best for the area, right, Fred? I mean, it's just not. It's not
it's so tough.
Yeah, I agree with 100% on that. And you know, I don't think the Rays, and we've had Smolty on talking about this as well, and Smolty is kind of says, you know what, it's the Rays have perfected how to win in the regular season, right? You know, pitch it well, you know, run prevention, but it's going to be really tough for them to win with the big boppers, with the teams that can score runs in the postseason, because they don't pay for offense. Offense is expensive, and they refuse to pay for offense. And, you know, free agents don't want to come here. So getting a new stadium in Tampa, more revenue, a better stadium where people, you know, hitters can actually see, and they don't, you know, players don't get hurt playing on the carpet all the time. I mean, it seems like a pretty simple solution here, right?
Yeah, well, I have JP over the years, because people give the hit show a tough time, right?
Yeah,
And the Rays did a poor job in the sense where baseball is a team game. It's a 25-man roster team game. So they made it about just the hit show.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, myself, Canseco, Greg Vaughn, Vinny Castillo, right?
Right.
And so when we didn't win, it's like, the hit show. But the thing about it, people want to see star players.
Right.
Okay. People want to see names. And so sure, the Rays have played well and they've won 80, 90 games or whatever, 100. But people want to see stars. So that's the missing point. You still have to, you need star players. You need to bring in just star players. It's going to cost you, but you need to bring in some star players, because that's what people want to see, you know. And so
I agree.
That's what they have. That's going to have to do at the end of the day.
Yep. I agree wholeheartely. Well, Fred, I really appreciate your time, man. We've taken up probably too much of your time.
Right.
I know you got a tea time coming up, because you have a tea time every day. Listen, we love you, brother, and I hope you'll be part of the contingent that goes up to Cooperstown to see you. So I'm gonna make plans to do it, because you're the best, man, and you're an absolute Tampa Bay treasure, my man. And I look forward to playing some golf with you real soon. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, appreciate it. Okay,
the great Fred McGriff right there. What a dude, man. What a great guy. And you hear him talk, right? He is not some diva, some baseball player. I mean, he's as real as it gets. He is as, you know, go sit down, have a beer with you kind of guy. No pretense whatsoever. Hardworking dude. And I just, you know, I was looking at the numbers, you know, I think the highest percentage he ever got for the regular Hall of Fame was like 37%. Like, what don't you get about these numbers? Like, it's just crazy.
And what's sad is if he hit 7 more home runs in his career, he would have been in probably first ballot.
Yeah,
7 home runs,
500.
And I mean, if you're Fred, you probably think about all those pop-ups that you hit that to certain stadiums that would have been out here and not in other ones throughout your career. You think about, you know, the strike in 1994.
He had 37 home runs on August 18th, so he had another 6 weeks.
Yep.
He could have got to well into 40. And I think the fact that was his career high, I don't think he ever hit 40 home runs in his season. That kind of held him back.
And honestly, that's even more impressive that he never hit 40 home runs in a season and he got to 493.
Right. The consistency was through the roof. And like you said, you know how hard it is to be that consistent. You're not getting injured. You're going out and playing every day, and you're that consistent that doesn't count for something. And then the other fact is that, you know, just look at him. Look at him. He was always a wiry, skinny guy. His head never grew 3 sizes. He never put on 30, 40 pounds. And you know what I'm talking about. And think about it. Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs after he did that. The most I think he had hit before was 46 to 50, somewhere in that range before he juiced. Okay, so he gets an extra 23, 4, and he did that for 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at that. How many home runs do you think Fred McGriff would have hit if he took steroids? He'd have hit 750 home runs. Seriously. I mean, as consistent as he was, and I mean, come on. And a few more feet. And the dude was always hitting contact. I mean, to me, if you're going to keep those other guys out of the Hall of Fame, whatever your opinion is on that, then conversely, you have to put Fred McGriff in. So at least finally there's justice for Fred. And from your perspective as a 23-year-old, how do you look at what does Fred McGriff mean to you?
I mean, he's one of those guys. I mean, obviously his career happened when I wasn't alive, but I come from one of those families that's born and raised in Tampa. And before the Rays were here, we had the Braves.
Right.
And my family were all Braves fans. So when I was young, I always heard about, the Fred McGriffs and the Dale Murphys and the Maddocks and the Smoltz. Like, my family was big Braves fans.
Right.
So I always knew about Fred McGriff. And obviously then you learn he's from Tampa. He went to Jefferson. My grandfather went to Jefferson.
There you go.
So there had about the connection. He played in the Saladino tournament, which is my family, right?
Yeah.
That's my family that runs that tournament. So I always had that connection to him. And then you look at the numbers, and just on the surface, you go, how's this guy not in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
You'd ask yourself that all the time. And then as I got older, I find out he plays for the Rays. And I'm like, oh, wow, he was really good here on some bad Rays teams.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a stabilizer, like the first, I guess him and Boggs, the first true stars that this franchise ever had, right?
Like, how do you not, you're in Tampa. Like, how do you not have a Wade Boggs, Fred McGriff day, like every year? And you bring in, local Tampa baseball players, and you celebrate Tampa Bay baseball with these two guys who are in the Hall of Fame, who played, who are Devil Rays.
It's a special fraternity. How many guys from Tampa are in the Hall of Fame? I mean, Wade Boggs is one. Now
Lopez.
Fred, Al Lopez.
Al Lopez was the first. Wade Boggs, I believe, I'm going to forget somebody here now. Wade Boggs was 2. Fred is 3.
I don't think there's any more after that. We've had a lot of great players, but have like Dwight Goodens, the Luis Gonzalez, the Gary Sheffields, Steve Garvey. But I don't think that the other ones have ever gotten in.
Garvey's not in the Hall of Fame.
Garvey's not. He probably should be 10-time All-Star, MVP awards, a catcher, isn't even in.
Well, first base.
First base, not even in.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other that are actually in the Hall of Fame. Think of that special fraternity right there.
Yeah.
And two of them played for the Rays.
And they don't even acknowledge it. They don't even acknowledge him whatsoever. I mean, hopefully when they move the team to Tampa, which is what we're going to talk about next, that'll change. I hope they have a special room, for that Tampa baseball museum that is at Al Lopez's home in Ybor City would be nicely relocated into that field, just so people can see it. I mean, it's great where it is, and they've done a fantastic job with it. Lift that thing up and put it in front of the stadium, whatever you want to do. But we need to celebrate that part of it. And you heard, and that was one of my favorite parts of the interview. It's just him talking about Little League and growing up and all these names that made it to the big leagues. And we have such a rich history of great baseball. We turn out so many great players. I mean, when people say this is not a baseball town, it's the stupidest thing in the world. But so, it's just awesome to, and Fred's the personification of it. He really is. I mean, just coming from nothing and turning yourself into a Hall of Famer with just hard work, and consistent play. Great stuff. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to update you on the stadium news yesterday. Some breaking news, some renderings coming out about the waterfront property that we've been telling you about for a couple of months here. We'll put a bow on that. When we come back, we're brought to you by Emerging Investigations, Emerging INV, Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency, and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida. JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations and the Jeeves Law Group. If your car has been totaled and you don't think you got what you deserved in that settlement, well, go to JeevesLawGroup.com and call them or make an appointment through an email, and there'll be a free consultation. They will tell you if you have a case. Pretty simple stuff. You might be able to recover hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. So why not make the call? If you get injured in an accident, you want an aggressive law firm to represent you, and that is the Jeeves Law Group. So go to JeevesLawGroup.com, give them a call, a free consultation, and tell them JP sent you. All right. So last night, news breaking about a site that we've been telling you about for a couple of months in Ybor City, and that's the Channelside district there. If you've been to downtown, you've looked out and saw the shipyards there where the dry docks are, where they fix these boats. They bring them out of the water. It's hard to miss. There's some silos there as well. That's the piece of property that they're talking about. And there's a channel there. It has a couple of entryways, and these artist renderings came out yesterday, and I've retweeted them and put them up on my Instagram as well. And it's a very, very interesting design. It kind of looks like a big spaceship, with a baseball in the middle of it. Maybe it's a rounded roof. It's really a beautiful design. I think it's modern. Obviously, it's not of a Camden Yards type deal.
No,
this is a totally different deal. But if you're going to have a roof, it's hard to get a classic look, it's just very difficult to build like that Camden Yards type with a roof on it. I think they've kind of done a nice job in Milwaukee at Lake Miller Park is kind of interesting that way. But I mean, at this point, it's like, I don't care what it looks like. Just freaking build me a stadium.
I'm sticking back to what I've always been saying. If we could pick the Trop up with a helicopter or something and just plop it right on that spot there in Ybor, it works with me.
Yeah.
It works with me.
We can do so much better.
We could do so much better. Yes, but it works with me at this point.
Yeah, but this is exciting, and I know everybody's been talking about the St. Pete plan. If you look at the artist rendering, Heinz Development that they're working with there, have you seen the specifics on what the stadium looks like?
In St. Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the way that looks.
With the open side doors.
I like the way that one looked than this one. Yeah. But this one to me is still very in its like developing stages.
Right,
though.
Right. And but the one that St. Pete it's nice and it's new and it's all that. There was very little to it. It was very basic.
The inside.
They haven't put a lot of work into it.
No, but the outside is what I like.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about, this deal is done, shadow of the stadium, and some of these other accounts are like, see, it's done in St. Pete. They're going to pick a winner in January. Folks, it's not done in St. Pete. And Tampa has been meeting with the Rays on a monthly basis, and they just met again. That's where these artist renderings are coming from. Populous is the group that they're working with, and I found out this morning through Ken Hagan. We're hoping to have him on today or tomorrow. He's going to let me know if he gets free today while we're on. That Populous, the Rays are working with Populous for that design. So the Rays, that's the Rays design with Populous on that one. And there you can see there's, as we mentioned last month when we started talking about this particular piece of property that Daryl Shaw just acquired. He's got to acquire more of it, which is maybe a bit of a problem. But it's beautiful and it's on the water and it's downtown Tampa. It's surrounded by condos and in an entertainment district, which will bring development money. They'll have to get a development partner. It's far from done. And I'm not saying this deal is done in Tampa Bay, but the idea that the deal is done in St. Petersburg is wrong. And what I really want to guard against is that Stu Sternberg, gets the mayor of St. Pete, Ken Welch, to pony up $1 billion and the Rays don't pay anything and they get this new stadium and then he sells the team and we're stuck with a stadium in St. Petersburg. And it just benefited Stu and put money into his pocket and it's still a failed location. That's what they did in Miami, folks. That's what they did in Miami. Major League Baseball does not want that to happen again. Major League Baseball does not want the stadium in St. Petersburg. And if you look at the quotes from Rob Manfred last week about the new, St. Pete side for the Rays, he never said anything specifically about, I'm supporting St. Pete. No, the quotes were, Stu Sternberg is looking at all the options. This is one of them, and he's moving it forward. And as Ken Hagan said in the piece that's in the Tampa Bay Business Journal, they're just playing one city against the next. That's what this is. And what did we tell you when the split city thing blew up? What did we tell you? The next move for Stu Sternberg is to play St. Petersburg against Tampa to get more money. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he has, I believe, Major League Baseball and Stu, I believe Stu as well. Stu will take the money. If they're going to give him $1 billion and he doesn't have to pay for the stadium in St. Petersburg, he'll take the money and say, sure, build the stadium. I'm selling the team anyway. And then we're left with a nice new stadium. Who knows how nice it's going to be, but with a stadium, but it's still in the wrong area. And it's not what's best for the area moving forward. Do we want that? Is that what we want? Does Ken Welch really want that? Is that a great expenditure of taxpayer money to build to spend $1 billion on a stadium in a failed location? Really? I think there's probably better things to do with that money, Mayor. I'm just saying. So I still believe very much so that Tampa is the spot. This is the latest development. I don't know if it's going to be this particular piece of property because there are issues with it. To move the shipyard and to move that business is going to take time. And that's not something we have a lot of. Now, the Rays are going to play in the Trop through 2027. Okay, so this stadium has to be ready in April of 28. Okay, so you back up. It took the Braves 3 years to build a stadium. So let's say, it takes 3 years. So you're talking about, the beginning of 2025, you need to have this deal done. We're sitting here in the middle of or at the end of 22. Mm-hmm. So what is the real deadline? I would probably say the real deadline is probably the end of 24. Okay, you need shovels in the ground by the end of 24. So there's a little bit of time, but not much at all when it takes. But there's some time to get the deal done in terms of getting the land and getting this done. The amount of money that is being put into Tampa Bay development right now is ridiculous. We just saw Bill Gates put in $3 billion for Water Street, and there's more money coming. And to me, this always seems like the best recipe, the best place to make everything work. More development dollars, more. You got mass transit coming into downtown Tampa with the Bright Line. You've got all the growth to the east that is just tremendously. It's just going gangbusters, and you're going to have probably 10 million people within the next 10 years living within an hour and a half of downtown Tampa because you get into the Orlando market and the Sarasota and everything else. It's growing exponentially. So that's where the stadium needs to be. Major League Baseball knows it. And this is I think, a plan that works really, really well.
Everybody knows it. I mean, go look at I immediately texted you. I said, look at the comment section under that post. I think it was on Tampa Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we have Jose Batista.
Yep.
Way
Joey
better.
Bats.
Yeah. Way better option than St. Pete. No offense to the neighbors of the South. BJ Upton. This needs to happen. And then how about Shane McClanahan, one of the faces of the Rays with the 2 eyes emojis under there.
What does that mean? What does that 2 eyes emojis mean, Mr. Youngster?
It means he wants a stadium in Tampa. That's what it means.
That's what it means.
That's what it means. And we've already heard what Tyler Glasnow feels about it. Everybody knows it. There's not a single player on that team that'll tell you they'd rather play where they are than across the bridge.
Right.
There's not a single player on that team that'll tell you that. We all know that. But as it's been for the last 20 years or whatever, who's funding the stadium? Where's the money coming from? All these type of answers, and we still don't have those answers.
And another thing to understand here in this is, Jane Castor, who we love, is, she's the mayor of Tampa, and there's a perception that she's going to have a lot of say in this. She doesn't have hardly any say in it. The city doesn't hold the money or have the money to spend on this. The city of Tampa is much smaller than the county of Hillsborough. Hillsborough and Bonnie Wise, who's the CFO, I believe is her title. She's the one, and the chairman Ken Hagan of the county commission. Those are the people that are going to make this work from a money standpoint. Okay, and how much that they're going to put in. The biggest part of it's going to be the private developer. How much does the private developer put in? And then there's going to be obviously a part for the team to put in. It should be a 3-way funding source, just like they did in Atlanta for the most part. It was mostly the Braves and Cobb County, but the Braves were the developer themselves. So I don't think Stu wants to do that. So they need that third-party developer, whoever it's going to be. But there's plenty of people that are stepping up to do these deals in Miami, in Texas, in Atlanta, and all these other places. And now they have a template and a framework that they know works. So Tampa Bay is as good a place to do that as any. And I think these renderings that you see will tell you that, yes, it's still very much alive. And the Rays are negotiating with Tampa as much as they're negotiating with St. Petersburg. So I think the main thing to get out of this is that when these renderings came out last week, everybody was like, oh, the deal's done in St. Pete. See, I told you, JP, it's done in St. Pete. It's not. It's not done in St. Pete. It's not done in Tampa either.
Is this another example, though, of the theory of pitting 2 cities against each other?
100%. Yeah. I mean, Ken Hagan said that in the story.
Yeah.
And he said, and that's okay. That's what teams do. But we feel, and I know Ken feels this way. He's said this on our show many times, is that Tampa is the best place for them. And they don't need to negotiate out of fear because Major League Baseball wants this area. Okay. And they need to pony up some money, not all, but some. It behooves, it will be great for Tampa Bay to have the stadium here. So the public should put in some money. Yeah, it would be great for a developer to do it because they're going to make a crap ton of money.
And in that location where it's at, by the way, which I didn't even know that was the actual location, unless this is like a newer one that they came up with.
Yeah, this is the new one.
I like where it's kind of like located. That's next to all that development down there, where all those apartment complexes are going up like crazy. Yes. I'm just like envisioning. And again, right where that Publix kind of is, all those apartments above it. Yep. I'm just envisioning all these people that live in these places that all just can walk to it.
Yes. And
then you come out and there's like bars everywhere and kind of how it is like a vibe in St. Pete, but with an actual demographic that'll go to the game.
Exactly. That's the point. The people that are living in downtown Tampa now are younger people and in St. Pete to some degree. But we've seen in St. Pete, they don't go to the games. They're not interested in going to the baseball game.
I think
people in downtown Tampa, you know what they go to? Yeah. They go to Lightning games. They go to Bucs games. They go out at night. They go out and do things. Yeah. They're younger. They have more disposable income. And then you have all the families in the Brandon area, in the North Tampa area, in Plant City, like Fred was talking about. So this is what feeds the Monday through Thursday games, which you got to have. The weekends will take care of themselves. The Monday through Thursday is what you got to have, and that's the key to the whole. Think about businesses.
Think about those like times like on weekends too, when like the Rays are playing at 1 and like the Lightning are playing at 7. Yeah. And you can do like a double dip or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just the whole center of Tampa, which I think at times has lost some steam a little bit.
Absolutely,
is coming back to life, and it would be the kind of central, I guess, of Tampa.
Yeah, with Water Street now almost complete. Yeah. I mean, it is. And people are moving here. Companies are moving here. This is a natural progression for this to happen. And it's not just going to be the stadium. Yeah. And the stadium is going to be used for a lot of different things. Concerts, high school tournaments, college tournaments, maybe bowl games. Who knows? There's going to be a lot of uses for it. To have an indoor space of that type in Florida and in the biggest city, the biggest area in Florida is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I say, people say, well, you follow the money. St. Petersburg has more money. Well, that's not the only part of the equation. It's how much more money will it bring in?
I'm a fan of identifying what's best and then going from there.
Right.
That's what I'm a fan of. I don't get caught up in where the money is and all that. I feel like the best will always find a way to have the money come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, if you follow the money, there's much more money to be made on the Tampa side in the long run than there is elsewhere. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds is going to join us from the Pewter Report, and we're going to wrap up a little bit about what we saw in San Francisco. Oh, what a debacle. And look ahead to Cincinnati. Here comes Joe Burrow and the boys, and we'll ask the question everybody's talking about. Is it better to go to the playoffs or get a better draft pick? I have my opinion. I want to get Scott's opinion, and we'll chat about that when we come back. Stay with us. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call. 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others. 888-325-0605. Oh, Merry Christmas. Santa Claus here for the Gold and Diamond Source. All right, it's JP. The holidays are the best time for engagements, right? And where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? They have the largest selection of engagement rings in the country, a jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. So avoid all the mall madness and the parking and all that BS and stay local, right? With the Gold and Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub are the family jewelers, and they'll treat you like family. And, of course, they do so many great things in the community. I was just at their Hands Across the Bay, a charity event. So many people stepped up to give money for these women that have been victims of domestic abuse. It is something to behold when these women come forward and talk about what Julie and Steve have done for them. And the Golden Diamond Source funds Hands Across the Bay, and so many other great companies jump in. That's what it's all about, community, right? So let's keep it local for the holidays. If you want a perfect gift for the holidays, you should check out the unique and beautiful handcrafted jewelry from the Emilique and Julieve collections that feature fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry. And don't forget, for the holidays only, 3 to 5 year interest-free financing. It's a no-brainer for the holidays. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at theGoldenDiamondSource.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is a great pleasure that I bring in Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report, our weekly discussion here on all things Buccaneer. Scott, it was some ugly games out west. There was a 45-0 one during the Super Bowl season.
Yeah,
that was ugly. I remember that one.
Yeah,
but this was ugly with no hope moving forward. At least that one, you had some hope. I don't know if there's much hope moving forward.
Well,
your thought?
I think the hope is still that they can win this division that nobody seems to want to win. I think that's where the Bucs are at right now. Yeah. They still have destiny in their hands. If they run the table, they're going to win the division. If they lose a game or two, they could still win the division. It's crazy.
Win the last two, and they're in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's really bad football, but they can still win a division. It almost doesn't seem fair to the rest of the league that the Bucs or Panthers or whoever's going to steal a playoff spot could do so with the losing record. But it looks like the winner of this division is going to be 8-9. That's just what it looks like to me. So I don't know. I thought Tom Brady was going to kind of will this team to victory, and you know what? That could have happened in an alternate universe. That could have happened where Keanu Neal's first play of the game, the sack, if that had actually been a sack rather than a 15-yard personal foul penalty. Yeah, or sack strip. Sure. But I'm just saying, even that right now, all of a sudden, the Niners are in 2nd and long, and they scored in that first drive. So that's kind of my point is the chances the Bucs had for early momentum, like slipped through their fingers, right? So like there's that. The Donovan Smith holding penalty that wiped away the Mike Evans touchdown. That was another instance of momentum early in the game, just completely being robbed by this Buccaneer team. And they're doing it to themselves. And Todd Bowles was exactly right.
Yep.
I know fans are not happy with Todd Bowles right now, and that's understandable, but it doesn't make him wrong. He is right. The Buccaneers right now are beating themselves, and the 49ers, are beating the Buccaneers. So it's difficult to have an instance where you're trying to fight two teams and you can't.
Yeah, and that's fun. Looks like Muffy's a little upset there. I don't know.
Yeah, we have a puppy, and Mama left, so Daddy's doing the podcast by himself, and puppy.
You might have to bring that puppy up so we can look at how cute they are.
No, I'll choke the puppy if that happens. So yeah,
he's kidding, folks.
Yeah, of course not. I love dogs. I'm gonna love this dog after I. No, I'm kidding.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
All right. So what went wrong in San Francisco? Obviously they busted coverages. They were out physical. They were out coached. They were outplayed. It was a debacle. And I think it's just a culmination of everything we've been seeing, how dysfunctional this team has been all year. It kind of came to a head and was exposed against a really good San Francisco team.
Yeah, it really was. That was the case. It was a situation where the Buccaneers just got outmatched in the trenches and on both sides of the ball. They didn't have much success running the ball. Tom Brady, wasn't killed in this game, but he had a poor game. I mean, the throw to Mike Evans, he admitted was bad. And it's a shame because he's doing that in front of a lot of people that wanted to see him play a really good game. And he actually played, I think, maybe his worst game of the year. And it was 2 interceptions. Both of those were just bad throws. So, again, to beat a good team like the 49ers, the Buccaneers margin, guys, is so small every week. The margin of error is so small that if they don't play near perfect football against good teams, they have no chance. They really don't. It's a thing where against bad teams, we've seen them do enough stuff at the end of games to win. The Saints game, the Rams game, etc. But against really good teams, and listen, that week 1 win against the Cowboys was a long time ago. That doesn't even count anymore. That was almost like last year's Buccaneer team for a minute. Yeah. But right now, and you look at the injuries this team has suffered, and thankfully, I think for the Buccaneers, if there's some kind of saving grace for this week's game against the Bengals, is that T. Higgins is hurt, Boyd is hurt, Hayden Hurst is hurt. So you might only have to worry about Jamar Chase, which that's going to be a problem, but Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. So Joe Burrow might come to town, down a few weapons. That's going to help the Buccaneers' chances. But again, is that going to be enough to where it's going to matter? I don't know.
And the Bucs are going to be without probably Jamel Dean, right? Jamel Dean's out.
Yes, he's going to be out, which means more Zion McCollum, which is always an adventure. Yeah. So I like Zion. I think he's going to be a good player in time. Again, I will point back to the Rondé Barber thing. I don't call rookies busts because it doesn't make sense. Now, he might be a bust, but I'm going to give him a couple years to develop and see. He has all the physical tools. This is not Sam Houston. This is the NFL. You got to learn to tackle, and I think he's got to be more physical. I think that he's got to find the dog in him and just not be a little gun shy and get out there and play some physical football.
And that happens with young guys, right?
Yeah. You get that wide-eyed, deer in the headlights look a little bit, and it's like, okay, he's got to get over that now. Just like my dog has to get over parking.
And when you look at like the Cincinnati team, I mean, this is still like a really bad offensive line. I think Burrow is like one of the more sacked quarterbacks in the league still. You mentioned the injuries to the Bucs, the Shaq Barrett one. It's kind of weird. I feel like Anthony Nelson and Carlton Nassib have actually benefited more and been more productive than the guy who we thought was going to be more productive. I think Joe Tryon has like 7 tackles, I think, in the 5 games, and like a sack maybe, or maybe none. Did we put too many expectations on him right away in year 2, you think?
No, I think, I'm going to blame the player. I think he's got to find the dog in him. I mean, he's playing like an athlete, not a football player, right? And time will tell whether he can become a football player. But right now is where he is. He's running around. He's showing that athleticism. He's a hustle guy. I like Joe. I think he wants to be good. But I mean, he's got to fight. Like he's got to throw the fists up and stop the dancing, if you know what I mean, right? Like we've all seen the boxing matches where the guys through the first round they do this and they circle each other and and they throw a jab. It's like he's got to be a little Mike Tyson. Bell rings and you just go attack. And if that doesn't happen, he's going to be another Gaines Adams. It's just that simple. He would not live up to expectations. He'll be a 4-sack-a-year guy that will win on an occasional speed rush. He's got to be more physical. He's got to become a smarter football player. And I think Todd Bowles said it best, that the mental game has to come there for him. Right now, I mean, I think a good comparison is Noah Spence. Noah Spence is a player that had some athleticism, not nearly as much as Joe, but was just not a chess player. And you have to be able to set the moves up. You have to think, what do I want to do on third down? Now I'm going to show this guy something on first down. I'm going to show him something a little different on second down. And then third down, after I've set those moves up, now I'm going to come with the finishing move. Yeah. And that's what all the great pass rushers do is you want the sack on first down if it presents itself. You want it on second down, but by God, you need it on third down, right? Mm-hmm. That's the money down. You can ask any great pass rusher from Simeon Rice to Warren Sapp, whoever, and they'll tell you third down's the money down. Yeah. And that's where the chess game, that's the checkmate. And right now, I think that Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is playing checkers rather than chess, and he's got to level up and start playing some chess because and you can't do speed rush because the third speed rush is not going to work. It's not. You've got to do long arm, inside spin, and then you can come with the speed on the outside on third down if you want to do that. Right.
Such good points, and the things that we're missing without Shaq Barrett and some key players on defense.
Yeah,
Scott Reynolds joining us here.
But actually, I did like Nick's point. I do think Carl Nassib and Anthony Nelson are playing better, and so if I am Todd Bowles, I will use Joe Tryon-Shoyinka if he can play. He's got that hip injury. I would use him right now as a designated pass rusher, and I would lead with Carl and Anthony. They're playing better football.
I would agree with that 100%. So people wanted to ask me, or wanted to ask you, because I think we differ on this a little bit in terms of Todd Bowles and this coaching staff.
Yeah.
Do you think that chances are they win the last two games and they get into the playoffs, probably lose first round. Does that save Todd Bowles' job? And do you think, I don't think Tom Brady's coming back here. I think it's too dysfunctional. He'll go look for something else that might be better. So I don't think he's coming back, or even if he plays again. So I see this as a total rebuild next year, and I think they should blow it up and start again. And you've got some good pieces here. I think you can still build around, but I think that's where I think the Bucs should go. What do you think is going to happen?
I think they're actually going to win the division, make the playoffs, and have a home playoff game. And if Wirfs and Dean, and if this team is healthy, and I mean like pretty much everybody but Ryan Jensen back for that playoff game,
and he could be.
It doesn't matter. He's, when Vita Vea came back from his foot injury in 2020, they used him on pass rushing downs to help push the pocket right up there in Green Bay. He came back for those two games, the championship game and the Super Bowl. And you can get away with that as a situational pass rusher, as a wave defensive lineman coming in and sub packages. Mm-hmm. But when you're an offensive lineman, like you can't substitute, right? Like you got to play the whole game. And we have yet to see Ryan Jensen practice, let alone do anything, from a football standpoint. So I don't think he's coming back. I don't think the team wants him to come back right now. Why would you want to come back and risk hurting that knee for a game that you very well could lose? Just get healthy for next year. You're paying him an awful lot of money. Yeah. Don't have any setbacks. And honestly, I don't know how effective Ryan Jensen would be or could be. I don't think he has the stamina right now to go out there and play 60, 70 snaps, right? So even if you platoon him and Robert Hainsey, you're going to have some high snaps. It's going to be different, and I think that would be more harm than good. But if this team can get into the playoffs, it's at home. I know the Buccaneers aren't exactly juggernauts at home. They've lost just as many as they've won at home. But with Tom Brady, you never know. You never know. I think that depending on who the opponent is, I'm not going to say the Buccaneers don't have a chance to win a playoff game. And the goal is to get to the playoffs. Every year the goal is to get to the playoffs. It's not to get a high pick. And honestly, the Glazers and Jason Light have had way too many top 5, top 10, top 15 picks. And they don't want that. Yeah. They want to get to the playoffs and see what happens. And honestly, I think the expectations are probably not a Super Bowl team this year, given where they're at. Probably not going to make the NFC Championship game either. But you know what? Last year's team at 13-4 didn't. So it's another game for Todd Bowles and this team to show what they got.
Yeah,
and maybe get a little bit of momentum for next year. And honestly, players like Logan Hall, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, these younger players that are developing, they need as many games as they can get. So I'm in favor of that. It's just like in college, right? When you make a bowl, and right now everybody makes a bowl because there's so many bowls. But back in the day, when it was challenging to get to a bowl, you're like, oh my gosh, we're bowl eligible. Coaches love that because you had those extra practices. You had 3 weeks of extra practices, and most college coaches would spend half of that time, resting their starters to get ready for the bowl game, and then give them 10 days to prepare. But it would be like 2 weeks of the redshirt freshmen and the freshmen practicing and getting all those reps. And it was almost like an extra spring football.
Right.
And that's why the good team stayed good and the great team stayed great, because you had that extra spring ball there. So I think the playoffs for the Buccaneers, 1 or 2 more games would do wonders I want to see more Devin Tompkins, right? I want to see JTS and Logan Hall get better. I want to see another game from Nick Leverett, and I think that's where the playoffs could be beneficial.
Do you think Brady comes back here?
You know what? 2 weeks ago, I didn't think that was the case. I think that's the case now. I think that if he's going to play, I think he would come back here. He likes the people that are here. He's got a great relationship with Joel Glazer, probably even better than the one he had with Robert Kraft. He and Jason Light have got a great relationship. There's trust here. There's trust. And you know what? There's going to be a new playbook and a new offensive coordinator wherever he goes, right? So whether it's in Tampa, Byron Leftwich is not going to be back. There's going to be a new system in place next year. So wherever he goes, he's going to have to learn something new. He is a short plane ride down to Miami to see Giselle and not Giselle, but to see the kids. Yeah. He's still on the East Coast with Jack. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. I think, honestly, if you're Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and I know that was the outlier for Tom Brady this year. He's not that bad of a quarterback. But, do you need Tom Brady? And would you want him for 1 year? I'm not saying Brock Purdy is better than Tom Brady. I'm not saying that. But you know what? On Sunday, he was. And you still have Trey Lance. I don't know that they would be all in for Tom Brady. And honestly, I don't know if Tom wants to be on the West Coast for 1 year away from his kids, especially being a divorced man now.
Yeah.
So if he's going to come back for 1 year, I just have this feeling. And 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I wrote about it and said he wasn't going to come back. I think the tide has turned, and I think he would. I think he loves playing with Ryan Jensen, right? I think he misses Ryan Jensen this year, and Gronk, and Gronk, and he still likes Mike Evans, even though they can't connect like they used to. I think that he wants to figure that out, and I tell you what. The name I'm publicly campaigning for is Todd Monken, the Georgia offensive coordinator. I'd love to see Monken come back here. The organization thinks highly of him. Todd Bowles knows that Georgia coaching staff. He knows Kirby Smart. He knows Todd Monken. His son Troy's going to go to Georgia, right? So he's had some dialogue with Monken before, just on the draft scene. And Monken he's a pass first guy, so he's going to play to the team's strengths. But at Georgia, they run the football. Todd Monken has found a way to have a balanced attack. And you know what's really effective in Georgia that's had this team undefeated for the last 2 years? They throw on first down, and then they run on second and third down. They convert first downs, third downs into first downs, and they score a bunch of points. And
they also have a tremendous advantage every week, talent advantage over the other team. So I'd be a little careful about saying how great they are when every week
they do out talent people. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, though, they go toe to toe with the LSU's, the Alabamas, the other teams that have stacked talent.
Brady, listen to him. I mean, it's my understanding that Brady has a tremendous amount of control here, more so than the offensive coordinator. So is Brady going to listen to Todd Monken? Is Todd Monken going to run this offense, or is Tom Brady? Because Tom Brady's running this offense. I think
here's what Tom Brady's role is. Tom Brady helps pick the plays with Byron Leftwich. The plays that you see have been Tom Brady signed off on, stamped, and approved. Those are the plays that Tom wants to run. However, Tom is not like Peyton Manning. He does not like running the offense. That's too much for him to think about. He wants to execute the plays. Tom wants to read the defense. How can this play work, and how can I attack this defense? That's where Tom's strength is. Tom is not a play sequencing guy where he's thinking, okay, it's 1st and 10, we're going to get this, and on second down, I want to do this. That was Peyton Manning. Peyton had that type of processor. Tom is not that way. Tom defers to Byron Leftwich's play call, rarely changes the plays. And then in 2 minutes, that's where you see Tom take over. When they go no huddle, that's where you'll see him. He'll look at a play, and then he'll wave it off, and he'll call his own play. And trust me, there are people within the organization that want Tom Brady to be more in control and to call the plays. That is not Tom's style. He doesn't want to be the OC. Peyton Manning did. So I think what this does is it does shine the light on Byron Leftwich. That's why the play sequencing is what it is. That's why they run on first down too much and all of that. And it's just dysfunctional. But I think that Tom would welcome better play calling because all he wants to do is execute the play. He wants to throw the ball, not call the play. And then when he's forced to call the play, he's actually really good at it, but it's not something he wants to do. Very much like Rondé Barber. We've talked about this before. I'll spend 10 seconds on it. Rondé loved to be the lieutenant, not the general. He wanted to be the Derek Brooks hype man. Yeah. What Brooks just said. Yeah. What Lynch just said. Yeah. What Sapp just said. Yeah. Rather than be the guy with the C on his chest. Now, later in his career, he had to be the captain because he was the last one standing. Yeah. But he didn't like that role. I think he's told that to you, probably shared it with me multiple times. He wants to be the lieutenant. And honestly, Tom Brady wants to be the lieutenant too on offense, not the field general.
All right, so this week, I got to ask you about this because you guys reported that there were a lot of guys in for tryouts yesterday. An interesting one in Nathan Rourke.
Yeah.
Was a quarterback in the Canadian Football League and played at Ohio. I'm not saying this guy's the next starter, but it's kind of interesting to bring in a guy that's so prolific in Canada for a workout. It's interesting.
Yeah. He's kind of making the rounds now because their season's over. But, listen, the Buccaneers only have one quarterback on their roster next year under contract, and that's Kyle Trask. And he's a big-time unproven guy. I don't think Blaine Gabbert's going to be back. I don't think Ryan Griffin's going to be back. Tom Brady might be. And if Brady does come back, you might see the return of those guys, but only if Brady comes back. Otherwise, this team is going to be looking for other quarterbacks. And he's a free agent right now. He met with the Colts on Monday, the Buccaneers yesterday. So he's kind of doing his circuit. The feeling that I've got from talking to people in the organization is that he's limited skill set, probably a backup guy, probably a number 3 for some teams, a number 2 for others. But, the Buccaneers are looking for what's next, what's after Tom Brady. And he did have a very prolific season up there for the CFL playing for British Columbia. Yeah. The Lions had a great year. He was the MVP for the CFL, and he is a Canadian quarterback. He's not just a guy that went up there to play from the States. He's a Canadian. He won the Canadian Sportsman of the Year award. So it's worth taking a look at. And it's not uncommon for teams on Tuesdays to bring players in for workouts, and he was probably the biggest name they brought in all year.
All right, Scotty, tell everybody what's going on at Pewter Report, where they can get all your content.
A bunch of stories just dropped last night on pewterreport.com, as JP talked about one of them. And we've got our podcast today at at 4 o'clock Eastern time on Pewter Report TV. That's our YouTube channel. And we do podcasts Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays live at 4 p.m. If you miss those shows, we still have them up there in video archive form so you can watch them. We're previewing the Bucs Bengals today. That's our preview show we do every Wednesday. And so we want you to subscribe and check out our videos on Pewter Report TV on YouTube, and follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The handle is at Pewter Report for all three of those. Thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure.
Go play with that dog. He's ready.
He's chilled out now, finally. Now that the show's over, he quit barking.
You can't see him?
Good boy.
Can we see him?
No, he's sleeping. I'm not about to wake him.
Which is all the people in the chat said, let's see the dog, man.
Next time I'll show the dog, but he's a puppy, and I've got a conference call at 10:30 that I want him to sleep through. So,
all right, brother. Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
Great, Scott Reynolds right there. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Brian Bradley's going to join us. We're going to talk some hockey. Big win last night for the Lightning, 6-2 over the Kraken. And, man, what a goal by Brayden Point. Holy heck. So we'll talk some hockey when we come back. We're brought to you by BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're looking to lose weight, testosterone replacement therapy, or get your immune system built up for the next pandemic, great place to go. Modern thinking, modern techniques. It's Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo over there and his team will get you right. Go to BAMMC.com for more information. Back in 3 with Brian Bradley. Stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance, because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah, so call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately, or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS.
For optimal results, call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call. 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others. 888-325-0605.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVSLawGroup.com, and Bay Area Model Medical Center. And the Golden Diamond Source. It's Christmas time. Where else are you going to shop at the Golden Diamond Source, right? They've got free financing up to 5 years and the greatest selection of engagement rings and wedding bands as well. So if you want to get something special for your honey, it's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Overton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Let's talk some Lightning with our good friend Brian Bradley, who, by the way, dropped off a check at the Golden Diamond Source for $5,000 to go to their Hands Across the Bay charity a few weeks ago. What's up, Brads? How are you, buddy?
What's up, JP? How are you doing, buddy? Everything's good. Yeah, that's a good cause for the, $5,000 for Hands Across the Bay for, the women or kids and stuff that, all that stuff that goes on with them in the world.
Yeah, man. They do a great job over there. And I really appreciate you bringing that money over there. And we could see right there what they're doing. I mean, they have this beautiful new facility. A lot of companies have jumped in. I think Windstar Homes helped them build it. And they have a few bedrooms there and closets full of clothes that have been donated. So these women that have to leave these domestic abuse situations sometimes in the middle of the night with the clothes on their back and their kids can go someplace and get food and get clothing and get deodorant and get all these things that you need for life that you left behind, obviously. So, and it's really cool that yourself donated your $5,000 from the Lightning, and that's a great thing. So we really, really appreciate that. I know Stephen and Julie Weintraub really do as well. So thanks for doing that, buddy. You're the best.
You betcha, JP. Thank you.
All right. So listen, last night, a really good Seattle team, by the way. They're top 4 in goal scoring in the league. They're second in the Pacific behind Vegas. I mean, really good Seattle team kind of came in here. Tight game to the second period, and the Lightning just exploded with 3 goals in 3 minutes, 23 seconds. It took over the game. And I tell you what, Brian, this team, especially since Cirelli's come back, has really started to gel into a team that I think can seriously contend for the cup. There's no question about it. What we've seen in the last 3-4 weeks. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, JP, it was a great game last night. I mean, Seattle's a very good team. They came in with a good record, like you said, second in the West, but they ran into a Tampa Bay Lightning team that's a buzzsaw right now. I mean, you know what? That's the way we played going in. And I agree with you. I think having Anthony Cirelli back in the lineup, and, he's played really well. He's such a smart player. He's a two-way player. He's not going to put up Kucherov or point numbers, but what he does in his own zone, shuts other teams down, and he puts points on the board. Yep. So I love the way he plays. I love his game. But at the end of the day, you know what? We're playing really good. And, I think the another key factor, I think Vasilevsky has been outstanding. He's been really good the last few games and stuff like that. He's been over the top excellent. And, Victor Hedman, to me, started to pick up his game. Those are the two players that I thought were playing just okay. And you know what? They're starting to pick up their games to the next level. I mean, they're both world-class players. Let's be honest with you. They're both players that could potentially be in the Hall of Fame one day, and they need to play like that. I thought they were just playing average. But when you have those guys picking up their game and, Kucherov, Stamkos, Brayden Point, unbelievable. Point's goal last night was absolutely ridiculous. His speed, the way he does his cutback moves, the way he transitions and pivots. I mean, there's no one else, Connor McDavid. Yeah, I could say besides Connor McDavid and McKinnon, there's no one that can play the game like that. Kucherov, he's a wizard with the puck.
Yep.
There's no one in the NHL, even anybody in the NHL is as good with the puck than Kucherov. He's better than everybody out there by far. And it's Steven Stamkos. He just puts points on the board. It's amazing, Stammer. The older he gets, the better he plays.
I know, right?
He's 3 goals away from 5. He's 3 goals away from 500. And you know what? We watched the game the other night. Last night when I got home, I saw Ovechkin get his 800th goal. That's crazy.
Yeah.
When you talk about Stammer going for 500, Ovechkin's got 800. That's just amazing. But, that's the number. I think it's huge. 500 goals to me for Steven Stamkos. I hope he does it tomorrow because he's going to get it on the road if he does it.
Yeah, a hat trick like Ovi had last night.
That
would be awesome.
Yeah, hey, and back to that point goal, because I posted it on Twitter last night because I was sitting in the couch and I popped up and I don't usually do that for goals, but I had to for that one. And I saw Hedman was asked the same question. I'm going to ask you, if you're Larson in that moment and you got Brayden Point coming on you like that and putting that move, what do you do? What is the Brian Bradley game plan when Brayden Point's coming full speed like that?
Just keep backing up and hope you don't run into your goalie.
There's not
much he can do. He's got such and the thing about Brayden Point, and here's the thing about him. He's such a great player, and you know what? But sometimes, we all put him in the shadows of Kucherov. And you know what? Sometimes Brayden Point needs to pick his game up to be at the next level, and I think he is now. Sometimes we all talk about Kucherov, how good his moves are. Stammer's got a shot. Brayden Point's there. And, but Brayden Point, when he plays the way he can with speed and cutbacks and driving the defenseman wide, besides Connor McDavid, and Nate McKinnon, those are the top 3 guys in the NHL.
Wow.
There's nobody that can play at that level and that pace. I don't care what anybody says. And you know what? Brayden Point, if you ask anybody in the NHL, they would say, you know what? Those 3 guys, when they're coming with speed and they got you, you're done. So you know what? And Brayden Point showed it last night. And then he goes in, he cut backs, and he's hard to hit. He's elusive. And you know what? He's strong on his skates too. So he's not an easy guy to knock over, but he's been on fire lately. And you know what? There's no reason Brayden Point can't score 40 goals in the NHL or even 50. I think he can get 50. I think if Brayden Point wants to get 50, he can get 50. 30 for him, I don't think is a good number. I think 40 or 50 for Brayden Point is a number where he should be at.
Can you imagine this as we move forward? If he's getting 40 or 50 goals and Cooch and Stamkos and that's, and we talked about this, Brad's, is this team is gelling, right? It's going to take a little while for this team to come together. And I think we're seeing the D pairs come together, although Sergei took a puck off the hand last night, the back of the hand. He might be out for a little bit, and he's been playing such great hockey, right? So you're getting defensemen scoring. You had a couple of defensemen chip in last night. Chernak and Cole get the first 2 goals. Ross Colton gets a goal as well. Corey Perry. So it's not just the top line is just, it's crushing it. We know that. But everybody else is pitching in as well now. And now Vasi, who, let's just be honest, the numbers were not good early on. Now in his last 6 games, his goals against is about 1.8. Save percentage is up around 935. That's the Vasi we know. So, Boston can run and hide in October and November. Give me the team that's peaking at, and this team is just starting to gel. Right.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I don't know if anybody's going to catch Toronto or Boston. But the way it looks shaping up right now, it looks like it's going to be another Toronto Tampa playoff first round, in the Atlantic. So, and you know what?
Awesome.
You can say anything you want. Toronto and these teams, no one wants to play Vasi. No one wants to play Andre Vasilevsky, the big cat, the best goalie in the NHL. So if you're one of those teams and you're looking at wow, here we go. We're having a really good year, but guess who our draw is? We got Tampa. That's not good.
No.
That's not good because Vasi can beat you by himself. And, he did it last year against Toronto. He did it all the way through. And like I said, you know what? And I've said this before, and, I'm going to say it again. We would have won 3 Stanley Cups in a row if Brayden Point was playing like he is right now and he didn't get hurt because there's no way Colorado would have beat us with Brayden Point playing like that. No way.
No.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care about Nate McKinnon and McCarr and everybody they had. If Brayden Point's in our lineup with a full force, the way he's playing with Kucherov and Stamkos and all our guys were playing excellent. You take a guy of that caliber out of the lineup it just changes your whole dynamics of the team. And you know what? That's, to me, is the reason that we didn't win 3 Stanley Cups in a row. It's hard to replace Brayden Point. He's a world-class player. And you know what? He plays like it now. And
he's phenomenal, and he's just getting better. And we talked a little bit about this last night on the Last Call show with Brian Engblom, because we typically talk about the games that are happening now in the micro, but when you look in the macro at this team right now, and you throw Brayden Point in the mix, Brad, you played back in the early days of the Lightning. You've been covering this team in the league for a while. When you look at the players on this team, it's historic. I mean, 2 cups in 3 years is historic. 3 finals in a row, that's historic. But this team is nowhere near done. Hedman, I think, is going to be a Hall of Famer. Stamkos is a surefire Hall of Famer. I think Kucherov, 400 assists last night. If he stays healthy, he's a Hall of Famer. I think Vasi is a Hall of Famer. I think John Cooper is a Hall of Famer. Brayden Point may round into one. I mean, think about that. The players that we're watching right now, this is historic stuff. This is a team we're going to be talking about 50 years from now. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, when you look at all the guys you just talked about, like Stamkos is a first ballot Hall of Fame, even if he doesn't play a game. Same as Hedman. Vasi's probably going to go in Hall of Fame if he keeps playing. Same as Kucherov. Don't count Brayden Point out yet. His numbers are going to only get better as he's just going into the peak of his career at 26 years old. So he's right where we need to be right now. And like I said, you know what? We got so many guys. Like, I mean, back in the day, I'm no disrespect, but, Tyler Johnson was a great player. I mean, we always talked about him with Stamkos and Tyler Johnson and guys like that. But there's a big difference between Tyler Johnson's game and Brayden Point. It's a totally, one's a really great player in the NHL. One's a world-class superstar. And that's a big difference. I mean, you can say whatever you want. I mean, Tyler Johnson was a great player in our team and this and that, but at the end of the day, there's no comparison between Tyler Johnson and Brayden Point. I mean, that's what you got. You got guys that we have drafted. Got to give Julian Breezebart, our general manager, a lot of credit, and the staff for picking up guys like this. Kucherov, late 2nd round pick. Brayden Point, 3rd round pick. These are incredible pickups in the draft.
Yeah, they found some gems. There's no doubt about it. All right, my man, we got Johnny Gaudreau and Columbus coming in tomorrow night, the last game of the homestand. They got smoked by the Panthers last night. They're walking into a buzzsaw here on Thursday night. Although the Lightning do tend to play down to the competition at times, so you never know. But if they can stay consistent and keep on their roll, they should finish this homestand 5-1 tomorrow night. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. I mean, here's the thing. The NHL is so close. There's so much parity in the game right now with all the different teams. Johnny Gaudreau is a world-class player. They've got some really good players on their team and stuff like that. I don't think they're going to have a chance to make the playoffs, Columbus, at the end of the day. But, anytime you lose a game, JP, you lose 4-0. You know what? Not many teams get shut out 2 games in a row. So they're going to come back. They're going to be upset. They're going to be angry. And you know what? I'm expecting Columbus to bring an A game against us tomorrow. And, it's not going to be easy. But if we play like we did the last couple of games, we're going to be fine. We're I'm not worried about whatever Columbus brings because they don't have enough on the plate to handle the Tampa Bay Lightning right now.
Damn right. All right, my friend. I will see you there tomorrow night at Amalie Arena. Thanks, as always, the great Brian.
You betcha,
Bradley.
JP. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Go
man.
Bolts.
Go Bolts.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this team now. As my hope for the Bucs takes a nosedive, my faith in the Lightning are rising. They're really starting to play.
In many ways, the world is coming right back to normal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're frustrated with the Rays.
Yes.
You have hope for the Lightning,
yes,
and you're decreasing hope with the Bucs.
I mean, Scott gives me hope sometimes when we talk this Scott, and I just don't see Brady coming back here. And I don't know if the Glazers, so much depends on these last 4 or 5 games.
Well,
if they beat Cincinnati and Arizona, I mean, if they run the table, which they could do, I don't see it happening at all. I mean, I bet severely against it.
There's got to be some kind of switch that's somewhere in that building, and we don't know where it is.
Maybe just their backs against the wall, and they don't have the energy for it. I just don't feel the energy around this team of positivity whatsoever. Everything is just so negative. Even when they win they play like crap for 57
and look at
minutes
the teams,
and they pull it out. It's
look at the teams that are below them right now, like that are even under 500, like the Bucs. The Lions are 6-7.
Oh, but
and
they've won 4 or 5.
Energy, there's confidence. They got nothing to lose, and they're just playing, right? The Panthers, they got nothing to lose. They're one of the least talented teams in the league, and they're still playing hard for an interim head coach and have a real shot to win this division and be leading this division come Sunday night.
Yeah.
Right? It's just with the Bucs right now, it's almost as everybody's just so tight. Like nobody's loose.
Nobody's loose. Nobody's having fun. It's like everything is drudgery. The press conferences are confrontational. Everything is just drudgery. Even when they win games, there's a short celebration, but then we're just like right back to
We get our hopes up for about a show maybe, and we try to talk ourselves
because foundationally they're not a good team, and you don't see them improving at anything except the return game was good last week because they finally put Tompkins in there. But other than that, the offensive line's not getting better; it's getting worse. If they've made some bold moves, like I think, like at this point, put Brandon Walton in. I mean, he can't be. I really feel like Donovan Smith's been playing with one arm all year long. He can't guard.
And he's up here. He's not there right now.
And he knows it. So
when
he knows he can't play, guys can take the inside rush all day long, and he's going to get beat. There's nothing he can do about it. He's just, and he seems to have checked out. Mike Evans seems to have checked out. These guys they're not carrying a body language of we're going to fight through this and get better on the other side. Like in 2020, they had bad games. They had the Saints game, they had the Chiefs game, but we always but there was a positive energy to it because it was the first year of Brady, and there was a positive energy. We're like, we got a good team here. It's got to all come together. Do you feel that now?
No, they just continue
it's just
to
the
underwhelm.
opposite.
And speaking to like the offensive struggles, and we've been talking a lot about Chris Godwin, and sometimes you see glimpses that he's back, and sometimes you don't, and everybody's wondering about Mike Evans. I don't know if you saw this chart yesterday that was going around. It had the open score and catch score for wide receivers through week 14, and basically it's pretty simple. Like the more to the right you are, you're open. The more up top you are, you catch. Right. And Chris Godwin is all the way over here. as one of the least open receivers in the league and catch percentage as well. And Mike Evans is not too far ahead of him either. Yeah. And Mike Evans, compared to the last 2 years, he's getting open 20% less this year than he did the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're trying to like pinpoint the issues here with what's going on with the connection there. Doesn't look like Mike's open a lot.
No.
And it doesn't look like Chris is open a lot either.
Last year, from the beginning of training camp, I was like, dude, Mike Evans is faster. He looks great. He's been running great routes. This year has been a complete reverting to the hand fighting and getting all caught up in the hand fighting and not running routes. It just.
But I'm not sold that he's quite healthy either, though. I go back to that game that he got hit in the ribs, and he kept on playing through it. I don't know. Since that game, and this has been a while now, he hasn't looked the same. He really hasn't.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
And he's never going to admit it. And he's going to play through it because everybody's hurt, right? But I don't know. Not the same right now. And conversely, when you look at these charts, you know who's open, who's just not getting the ball? It's Russell Gage. It's interesting.
I've not looked at the all 22 this week. I'm going to go back and look at that today. I'm going to have some time to do that.
And maybe as he gets healthier, maybe we see something. I mean,
and then this goes back to Brady.
Yeah, you got to trust this guy.
Brady has been the absolute master at finding the open guy, always.
Yeah,
always. And maybe he just doesn't trust Russell.
Well,
Gage.
the Green Bay game, he peppered him with 15 targets.
I mean, nobody else.
I'd like to think you got trust there. He caught 12 of 15 targets for 85 yards and a score.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness, I don't know. I mean, we're searching for anything at this moment.
Well, if he's open all the time and he's not getting the ball, that's on the quarterback. No other way to put that.
I mean, we saw that in this game too, and not even Gabe, but there was one play where I think Brady threw like a 5-yard kind of little curl route to Julio Jones, and they replayed it, and Chris Godwin had nobody lined up in front of him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
On one play, and it's like.
Brady doesn't.
It's a play like that where I'm like, man, he don't miss those.
Brady does not miss that stuff ever, and we've seen so much of that this year from Brady. I mean, you go back and look at that Kurt Warner video. Is Brady broken? There was just, and that's when I was asking him mid-season, like, dude, you're missing basic reads. Like, what's going on with you? And he didn't want to answer the question. I didn't say it that way, by the way. But I asked him much more politely. But he didn't want to answer the question. He doesn't want to talk about that. But the bottom line is he has not played at the usual level where you just look at every single time he's making the right decision. It's just, and that's the thing that's been a little perplexing all year long, and that's that negative energy that just keeps popping up, and that's why I have no hope for this team, and I have no hope for Todd Bowles as a head coach. It just seems just dysfunctional. And I know Cincinnati's coming in here and they're hurt, but the Bucs are hurt in the secondary, so that's kind of a wash. It'll be an interesting game. But here's the thing, the Bucs, if they can just go out and play a mistake-free game, like stop with the stupid-ass penalties. There's a lot of stuff that's killing them that's all self-inflicted.
Yeah.
They had a couple of bad turnovers this game, which they haven't been doing that a lot. But they just if they can go out and play a clean game, they still have, some personnel. But without Vita Vea, without Jamel Dean, without Antoine Winfield, I'm not sure if he's going to play or not this week. They're just depleted defensively against a team that really knows how to throw the ball. And I know Burrow's down receivers, but so much of what he does is his accuracy and the way he throws the ball.
I think for my money, Joe Burrow is I think he's the second best quarterback in the league behind Mahomes. I think he is. And I mean, you can have the Josh Allens of the world, the Jalen Hurts of the world, the Herberts of the world, if you're a believer there. I mean, all these things. Joe Burrow is just elite. And
his accuracy and his throwing ability is just beyond elite. He doesn't do the crazy plays like Mahomes, but oftentimes doesn't have to because he's such a good passer of the football. So, yeah, I don't see a whole lot of pathways to victory for the Bucs
and even week. Like I was when we were mentioning with Scott there, their offensive line really isn't much better this year than it was last year. He's been sacked, I think, like 34, 35 times this year. He's one of the more sacked quarterbacks.
Yeah,
in the
he
league.
holds the ball more than most,
but
trying to make plays.
And so you try to think, maybe there's something the Bucs can take advantage, but you can't get a 4-man rush.
No,
you can't get a 4-man rush. So again, similar to the San Francisco game, I just don't see a matchup where the Bucs win.
Yeah, I really don't either. We talked a little bit about the stadium. I thought it was interesting. The Times did not do anything on this Tampa Stadium report. The Tampa Bay Business Journal did the big story on the design renderings, and the Times. I guess Topkin said that Romano did something on it in October.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't have any renderings then. They didn't have a meeting. There was a meeting with the Hillsborough County Commission, which Ken Hagan is now the chairman again. So anyway, they did announce Zach Eflin yesterday. He did his press conference. I didn't know that he grew up coming to Rays games.
Yeah.
He lived in Oviedo, and a bunch of his Little League buddies used to drive over for Rays games on the weekends and thought he was going to get drafted by the Rays, but they passed on him to take Ricky Schaefer, in 2012. So he finally gets to come home and be a Ray, a guy that wants to be a Ray. That's a rarity.
And the Rays really wanted him. I think Neander and Bendick said they went to his house and they were going after him pretty hardcore, and they identified him as target number 1 in free agency. Now, the thought process there is interesting because we know what this team lacks. If that's priority number 1, and I'm not, and listen, I know Zach Eflin's going to go out there, and you know what he's going to do. We know it, but I'm just saying.
Well, hopefully he's not a 35 and 46 pitcher with a 4.49 ERA, which is what his history suggests.
But I went over his numbers with you. It's skewed by his first couple years in the league. He's gotten progressively better.
Been a terrible defensive team.
And in this year, I'm telling you, the Phillies. I was going through a lot because the Phillies put out a little tribute to him yesterday. I was going through a lot of Phillies fans, what they were saying, and a lot of people were being honest that they don't know if they get to the World Series without him because he was good. He was nails in the playoffs. 12 appearances, and I think he only gave up a run or 2.
Yeah,
that was it.
He's definitely coming into his own, but it's such a Rays thing to do, to go get a pitcher with those overall numbers and give him the richest contract in team history, and say, hey, wait, but the analytics are really good because they always want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Let's be honest.
They do.
Most often they are.
They do. Not lately.
When it comes to pitching.
Yep. Well, Fred McGriff shared some light on that earlier.
Yeah, but when it comes to pitching and identifying,
they turned the lights out so the hitters can't hit. That's why they're pitching so good.
Even extended.
hitting so
okay,
bad.
but extend it to hitting too. I mean, who was Yandy Diaz before the Rays got him? Did you know who Yandy Diaz was?
No.
Did you know who Joey Wendell was before the Rays had gotten him?
No.
Did you know who Randy Arozarena was before the Rays got him?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Was Brandon Lau some big prospect? No. I mean,
all right. Are any of those guys consistent superstars? Yandy Diaz is
listen,
an average player.
Brandon
I mean,
Lau.
you think Yandy Diaz is some great player? He's not some superstar.
He's a useful
player.
piece because he gets on. He gets on. He's a great eye. He gets on base. He gets really hot.
He's a little above average player. He ain't driving anything.
Brandon Lau, let's be. I mean, Brandon Lau, if you look at the numbers, is like one of the better second basemen we've seen in a long time. He had 40 home runs at second base. I wish his postseason career could be a little bit better.
Is he the quietest 39 home run guy in history?
Yes.
It's like you just, are they big home runs? Does he carry your team at times? It's like I don't even I feel like Arozarena does more.
The Rays just have too many guys who are streaky. Randy,
oh my God,
Randy,
yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you get to the playoffs, as we've seen the last 2 years, a lot of those streakiness have gone to like out of form.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's been for Brandon Lau. That's what it was for Rand. That's what it was for the entire offense this year, to be honest with you. That's the problem. I mean, the playoffs, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of people, it's such a small sample size and it's sometimes hitting fluctuates and people would use the argument that it just didn't land the right way for the Rays the last 2 years. But I don't know. I think there's more consistent hitters out there. I think hitting in the playoffs is a whole different animal, more so than just the small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a mentality thing.
Yeah.
And somehow I think these guys are just lacking it.
Well, there you go. Your biggest contract ever given to Zach Eflin. And, my feeling is, how does that turn your team into a better offensive team? It means you can trade Glass now because you got a starter that can eat innings.
Trading Tyler Glass now.
And then they can go get some hitters.
They're not trading Tyler.
Then
Glass
how
now.
are they going to get better offensively?
I don't have the answer. I'm not getting paid to make these decisions. I don't know. I'm the person that's yelling at a cloud. It's going to ask you to do something. Yeah. I'm not the one who's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be that way. All right. By the way, Michael Kelly just posted a picture, USFAD, outside the Populous offices that build stadiums. So interesting, Populous. The Rays are working with Populous for this new Tampa stadium rendering that we saw. And USF is using Populous for their on-campus stadium. So Populous may be building two stadiums within 20 miles of each other here in Tampa in the coming years. Let's hope that's the case. Love to see it. A lot more jobs and make us a better area, All right. Our thanks to Fred McGriff. If you missed that, we did 37 minutes off the top of the show with the newly minted Hall of Famer. So much fun to chat with Fred, man. You got to check out that interview. We also talked with Scott Reynolds. Great stuff from him on the Buccaneers and Brian Bradley on the Lightning. Great show today. Good job, Nick. And we will be back tomorrow with hopefully we'll have Ken Hagan on tomorrow. He couldn't be with us today. Hopefully we'll have him on tomorrow to illuminate more on the Tampa Stadium project. And we'll chat with you then. Have a great day, everybody.